Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. And tonight we're bringing Johnny Litecoin on, and we're going to talk about Litecoin being the sleeping giant. I am having some weather issues. Thor, the god of thunder, is out there banging around, and there are possible tornadoes headed my way. So we're going to kind of see where we get in this tonight. But I'm ready for a storm. Are you guys? Hey there, Johnny. How are you? Is
I'm doing great.
Is it storming where you are? I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you.
I'm doing great. It's not, but it did rain really heavy yesterday and the day before. A lot of rain. It was flash. We got like flash flooding a lot of times here, and the water table came up high. You could see the water coming up through the sewers and like the sewer grates. The water was back flowing, and
I wonder how that or if that affected. I mean, I know New Jersey is separate than New York, but I would think, it's pretty close-ish. I wonder how much of that, they sent the National Guard in and they're treating people like criminals now just for entering the subway. How do you install a police state? Create an emergency. But I wondered about the flooding because we had seen several examples of that, kind of happening all over, popping up all over, and things popping up all over.
It is interesting timing, to say the least. So it's very peculiar timing.
Daddy said they had 3 inches of rain there since Saturday as well. So Westwood was talking earlier. If you guys didn't watch Hash It Out, make sure you go over to Blind Dave 2 on YouTube and watch Hash It Out and watch Javi and Dave and Stake My Claim and our one and only Clint Westwood. He got fired up. He's like, do not send me a link tonight. You might lose your channel. So he's really like had it up to about here. Is that the top of the screen? Here.
With what? Cryptos, markets?
The world, the whole thing. Like
World.
he's just like, he's done with the show. He's done with the people not waking up. He's done with this game that's being played out on humanity. He's done with, the little guy always getting stuck with it. Like he's all of it. I think you could say D, all of the above. Westwood's had enough.
Gotcha.
And he wants people to know the truth. He's so passionate about people trusting themselves and stop. I watched a quick thing, or maybe I read it. It was on Tuttle Twins. I was looking for some resources for Canon for a project we're working on. And they had a study on there that said, like, back in 64, I think, NASA, which, you have to take all that with a grain of salt, but did a study on like general pop American children, and like something like 80% plus had capability or learning ability up to the genius level. And they recently redid the study, and it's like 12% could even have a possibility of reaching genius level because they've been dumbed down through, idiocracy, society, the public education system, all of that kind of stuff. So I don't know. There was a thing I watched the other day too that they said this guy it was very quick, but he said he was like a famous scientist guy or whatever, but like a biologist, or I don't know. He was out in the desert, and he said, I get these kids now coming out of college and come intern with me or whatever, and they've got a plant or a tree right in front of them that they can have their own experience and their own opportunity to, test theorem, all these things. And he's like, and none of them trust any of what they're seeing in front of themselves unless they've read a peer review study on it. Like, where's the link? Where's the peer review study? No one can critically think for themselves anymore.
That's the world in which we live, and they've definitely they definitely ruin people's attention spans. People have
Mhm.
no attention span, and that's that's obviously has to do with everything we have at our fingertips: a smartphone, internet, social media, everything. Even how social media is designed, you could only put a certain amount of words in there because people can't read a lot of
Right.
words, and they just don't. People just don't have the attention span, and that helps. Um, that helps people. As far as crypto goes, it helps the bad guys.
Mhm.
Crypto's too hard. I mean, to me, I'm like, it's too hard. I'm like, it's like sending a text message. But they're just so used to pushing one button and everything does everything for them. And they just want it like so idiot proof that if you have to do anything at all that's critical to critically thinking, they don't want to do it. And it's kind of wild, like
It's
how.
also how they change the narrative so quickly, like, that would when we look at what happened with FTX, and they were able to media was able to spin that and say, "Oh, crypto bad. Crypto
Sure.
takes your money. Look what happens when crypto gets involved." And it's like, well, if you would drill down and use 2 minutes of reading who was involved and what really happened, it was legacy finance that
Yep.
destroyed people. That wasn't crypto.
No, it was a legacy system. It
Right, the
wasn't.
crypto exposed what was happening in the legacy system.
Yeah. But they don't want you to think that. They want you to think, oh, crypto bad, Bitcoin bad.
Mhm.
It's I guess we could lead it into Litecoin. One of the
Yeah,
reasons I like Litecoin so much, it is a simple crypto. It's not over promising all this stuff. It's simple. I like things that are simple. I think we need a simple solution for crypto adoption. Um, Litecoin's just designed to transfer value from A to B without A knowing B or B knowing A. And that's kind of what the Satoshi white paper promised. And, you know, Bitcoin, I guess, in a way, is a victim of its own success. That it's such a secure network. It's not a money transfer network anymore. It's not good for paying for things. Bitcoin's a really good store of value. It's going to hold its value. It's very scarce. It's being accumulated by institutions. So we get that, but that doesn't really help us beat the bad guys now, does it?
well, especially with the Bitcoin ETF, being launched and that, giving them all the leverage power. I wanted to also ask you about there was this I put it in the Telegram chat, but this guy was talking about, um oh, well, that may be a distraction. We'll talk about that a little later. But he basically was saying like 2008 is happening again with Jay Powell's comments and whatever. And I thought about the way that there's a lot of lightning here and thunder. I thought about the way that, the Bitcoin ETF has introduced legacy finance, all that, and all these big companies that are buying, like, shouldn't Bitcoin be really, like, if it was a free market and actually transparent, wouldn't it be well over 60 grand? Like, wouldn't it really be shooting through the moon? But that's maybe another way of them to manipulate that thank goodness Litecoin doesn't have yet. And I hope it never gets it. I hope it never gets an ETF.
So the ETFs are they're good and they're bad.
Okay.
I wouldn't say they're all bad. There's advantages of ETFs for certain. We don't need an ETF. Litecoin Lisa, Clint Westwood, Johnny Litecoin, people in the chat. To us, ETFs are relevant. Why do we need an ETF? Let's just buy physical Litecoin, physical Bitcoin, put it in a non-custodial wallet, have complete freedom, be able to transact with one another. That's what crypto is all about. But as far as institutions, endowments, big companies, governments accumulating Litecoin or Bitcoin or any crypto, it's really needs to be done through an ETF. It's a lot easier of a solution for those players involved. It's a lot harder to have them hold the private key. They don't want to hold the private key on a wallet and who's responsible for it. It's a lot of, they'd rather say, hey, we have it in this ETF. That's our exposure to Bitcoin, or in the future, if Litecoin, it's an ETF. Now, the other thing is you're going to be able to borrow money a lot easier at a lot more competitive of a rate through having an ETF, through a brokerage account. So that's a good thing, where in the past, you know, people got burned by Celsius or these lending apps. When you have a brokerage account, you can borrow money at a very competitive rate. So let's face it, borrowing money does help a lot of people. Helps a lot of people if you want to provide capital for business. Yeah. Exactly. So I wouldn't say it's all bad. I think the problem with it is that people are cheering it on too much, and they're getting away from the idea of what's Bitcoin all about, what's cryptocurrency all about, what's the ethos of this whole thing, the use. And that, I saw that coming, you know, 5 years ago when I was kind of getting started doing this. And I was being attacked by these Bitcoin maximalists. And I was like, why are they attacking me? I'm just talking about using Litecoin as a payments method, as a way not to go back into fiat. And in their minds, they were like, you don't use your credit card, use the bank, just hodl Bitcoin. And I was like, that defeats the purpose. Yeah, Bitcoin might go up because it's scarce and there's a limited amount of it, but we're not beating the bad guys if we just hodl and use the bank and use our credit card. And look at what Bitcoin maximalists recommended to everybody, all centralized solutions. They said, well, you don't need to pay with cryptos yet. Lightning. That's all they talked about. I mean, Lightning Network to this day is still unusable in a non-custodial manner. It's not usable.
The only execution I've seen of that was I was at a Bitcoin Day event, and a guy came over and they wanted to show me how you can send Bitcoin just as fast as Litecoin and using Lightning Network. And he's like, check this out. He goes, scan this. So I'm like, okay, I scan it. And somehow it sent the Bitcoin to his wallet. And I was like, that doesn't seem right. But they set up some invoice beforehand, whatever. I don't know. It just seems kind of, and the fact that you won't acknowledge like where it was tested or created, that also has value.
Right.
Like that's insane to me.
And if you look at it, Lightning Network is actually built more for Litecoin. It will work better on Litecoin. It works better on a base layer that has cheaper fees, that has faster settlement times. So Litecoin is actually structurally better for Lightning Network. So people say, well, why is the Litecoin Lightning Network, or why is Lightning not being ran on Litecoin yet? You don't need it yet.
Because that's not necessary.
Somebody asked me the other day on X, Twitter. I would still say Twitter, but X.
I do too. I say Twitter.
I say Twitter. They said, what's your favorite payment network or payment rails, and they said Lightning Network, and they did like a laughing thing. And I said, no, I actually prefer Litecoin on chain because it's
layer
simple and it
one.
works. Why do I need to screw around with anything else? I'll send Litecoin on chain. It works. It's fast. It's cheap to send. It's got good liquidity. You know, you could argue too, some of these layer twos, are they violating patents? That's questionable. Why can't you?
Well, I got somebody you could ask about that. I know a guy you could ask about that.
Well, it's also strange why they took down the easiest to use Lightning solutions. You cannot use them anymore in the US. This wallet of Satoshi. I believe even Exodus wallet, you can't use the Lightning integration if you're in the United States. So why is that? Yeah, so why is that? So
well, because Reggies patents, he has 3 freaking patents right now in the US. He's got 2 in Japan, and allegedly there could be more pending. I don't know. Everyone should check it out.
So
Westwood requested a link to join. He's very excited about this subject and passionate. So
all right. Well, let's let them jump in, and we'll go into some other reasons. Westwood's a great guy to talk to about this, but we'll go into some reasons why Litecoin is a sleeping giant. I think we should just review Litecoin for everybody because there's new people watching all the time. So we take a lot of things for granted, and let's go back to the beginning. Litecoin is the Westwood.
We're reviewing Litecoin. We're going back to the beginning, having a little history lesson.
There we go. I think that's a good idea. Let's go back to the beginning, go back to basics, review Litecoin. So Bitcoin.
I might put myself on mute if the hail comes back in again because I think it gets kind of loud.
Bitcoin hit the world in 2009. Litecoin hit the scene in 2011. So it's been running. There you go. It's been running for almost as long as Bitcoin, a couple years shy. Litecoin blockchain has never went down. It's had no downtimes. What we mean by that, it's never had to be stopped and restarted or wound back or anything. Not even Bitcoin could say that. The Bitcoin blockchain it was probably in 2010 or 2011, it went down and they had to come in and fix it. So Litecoin is the only blockchain I know of that's had it's at 100% uptime since inception. Now, what makes Litecoin so special? Well, it's really created to be similar to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, 21 million total coins that'll ever come into existence. Litecoin, 4 times as many, 84 million. All right. Now remember that number, 4 times as many. It's also 4 times as fast. The Bitcoin blockchain settles every 10 minutes. And what we mean by settles, people out there may say, what are they talking about settling? That's when a block is mined. So what happens is when a block is mined, it's set into the blockchain, those transactions. Those are set in stone. They're on that digital public ledger for life, forever. So once that block is mined, your transaction goes into that block. It's in there forever. Litecoin clears a block every 2.5 minutes. Now, the interesting thing with Litecoin, it can handle more throughput. You can do more transactions per second. So with Litecoin, your transaction is always going to go out in the next block. If you do a transaction right now and a block clears 30 seconds from now, that transaction's in that block. And you could look it up on that digital public ledger. It's on the blockchain. It's set in stone. With Bitcoin, The Bitcoin network is congested. You might send a transaction out. Maybe you put too low of a fee on it. So what I mean by that, let's really go back to all the basics.
Yeah, I remember when mom first taught me about this. I was like, "What do you mean?"
Yep.
She said, "Think of it as like a postage stamp or like you're gonna send priority mail versus ground or"
That's a great way to
something like that.
that's a great analogy to use. Think of it as a postage stamp. So what makes cryptocurrency different, when you send money or send a payment, you pay a small fee as the sender. In the traditional payment system, if you pay a business, they pay a fee on their end to process the transaction. They pay it to a credit card processor, the banks, Visa, MasterCard. A lot of people, different people get paid. In the crypto world, you pay the miner a small fee. Now that's done automatically in your wallet. It's done behind the scenes. You might not even realize it, but you are paying a little fee. Now, when you pay with Litecoin, the fee is under 1 penny. When you pay with Bitcoin, last Bitcoin transaction I sent, the fee was $8 or $9. Okay, well, if you're sending a large amount of money, it's not a big deal. What if you're sending $100 and you pay $8 or $9? Now, 8 or 9% of that transaction went to a fee. That's not usable in the real world. So Litecoin is a lot more usable than Bitcoin. All right. But that's not what makes it a sleeping giant. We can never forget Litecoin is the most decentralized cryptocurrency out there besides for Bitcoin. So
Just in the fact that the Satoshi wallet still exists and Charlie Lee sold his bags, it is a game changer in itself.
yeah. So what Lisa means by the Satoshi wallet, Bitcoin, when Bitcoin first came into creation, there was 1 million Bitcoins that were mined by Satoshi Nakamoto, the anonymous creator of Bitcoin. To this day, those Bitcoins have never moved. So we can speculate on who created Bitcoin. I know who I think it is. Who would be able to never sell a coin when you have, what's 1 million Bitcoins worth at this moment in time? Is that $67 billion or $68 billion? I believe so. So you mean to tell me a regular person has access to over $60 billion and never spent a dime? That doesn't make any sense. So Litecoin was created by Charlie Lee, and he divested himself of all ownership of Litecoin. He does still buy some here and there to make purchases with and use it, but he doesn't have a holding of Litecoin. And you don't want somebody that created a coin to have a large ownership of it. That's what makes a coin centralized. So very few other cryptos can say that, especially with the market cap and the size of Litecoin. So that fact in itself makes Litecoin really valuable. That makes Litecoin a commodity. So what makes something a commodity and not a security? Well, a commodity has to have a cost of creation. There has to be some cost to bring that into existence. So think about other commodities out there,
So that's
cattle.
the definition. I didn't know that because then that changes the game for a lot of that. Any proof of work, I would think, would then be considered a commodity because there's a cost involved in creating it.
In my opinion, yes, but you'd also have to say there's no company behind it either. You could have a proof of work crypto that has a company behind it. That
Okay.
still would make it more of a security. The fact that Litecoin has a cost of creation and no company behind it. Think of any other commodity. There's no cattle company. There's no orange juice company. There's
Well,
no
I could
gold.
argue that with you because the minute that they made them GMO and that they won't grow unless you spray their stuff on it, they centralized food in
They
that
did.
way.
They did. So
Yep.
that's
They
a
might be a security now. Maybe Gary should go chase
Well,
the
we see it around here.
corn
I mean,
sale. Yeah,
I'm going to jump in. It's springtime around here.
yeah.
It's springtime around here, and I've got fields all around me. And there's some green stuff growing on it, and I guarantee, it's natural stuff. Got bare dirt, and something's going to fill it up. That's what happens. I mean, something's going to grow on the bare dirt. Now, what's going to happen here in the next few weeks? They're going to go out there and they're going to spray all that dirt and kill everything.
Oh, you're saying Mother Nature's out there right now.
Yeah, Mother Nature's out there. She's walking around, and the things are going to grow until the tractors get in the field, and they got the tanks in the back, and they're rolling down the fields, and they're going to spray stuff on to kill all that green stuff that they don't like, what Mother Nature's putting out there. So they're going to kill that because we're living in a big petri dish, because that's what I see around here. And what they're going to do, they're going to kill all that green stuff that just happens to naturally grow up. It may be clover, it may be all kinds of different things. Maybe purslane. Purslane, something that just grows naturally. It's very healthy for the body, but some dandelions, they spray it and they kill it. But they're going to kill everything in that dirt. And they're going to plant corn, because why? They're incentivized to plant that corn. And to allow that corn to grow, what they're going to do is spray something on that dirt to kill everything else but that corn, because they have monetized the ability to grow that corn so that corn grows. And when you see it growing this year, when you come out here, it's all going to look the same. It's all going to look great. It's all going to look green. It's all going to look tall, no matter if it's a drought, no matter if it's a flood, doesn't matter. It's going to grow because they sprayed something on it. And I'm not going to name the companies, but there's a lot of lawsuits against the companies that spray this stuff on it that kills everything but that corn, because that corn is bred to grow in that environment to withstand that stuff that's sprayed on it, because nothing else can live, and it's going to grow and it's going to feed the world. Well, go get your bottle of ketchup, go get, high fructose corn syrup, everything has high fructose corn syrup. And that is what, they have completely taken control of that stuff. And it is, we're in a situation right now to where they're using technology to basically take over the food supply, take over everything, take over the energy. And that's what they do. And I see it firsthand. And it's absolutely, and I don't know why this phone's going to die. I'm going to have to switch. But when you're in a point to where you have a single choice that this is the only thing, it's the narrative that is going to be your food supply. And they've done this since like late 1970s, to produce something that fills your belly. However, the thing that feeds your belly, and this is where you get into it, Johnny, about nutrition and doing good things, it doesn't matter. They think they're saving the world. They're a bunch of psychopaths. And they are going to produce things that feed your belly and put it into the food supply. And they're going to use all the chemicals. They're going to use all the things to make it work. And they want to control that. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're going to kill all the good stuff that grows out of the ground naturally to produce something that they can monetize, that they can make a commodity, that they can feed to the public. And they're going to use the narrative that this is the best thing in the world because we're saving people. And that's no different than what they're doing with cryptocurrency. This is the only thing that can save you. Bitcoin is the only thing that can save you. However, we're going to control that, and we are going to feed you this genetically modified corn that's sprayed with glyphosate. A lot of lawsuits. Monsanto, Bayer took it over. Bayer, look at the history of Bayer and the German, Nazi, what they were doing. These are the same players. And this is my point that I want to get to. And then I'm going to jump out and then I'm going to come back in. Lisa, let me in. I'm going to switch phones.
Okay.
But this is the same thing they've done over and over and over again. And it's all about control mechanisms. It's all about, this is the only thing that is valuable, and they determine what is valuable, and they use the media, they use all the money that's created out of nothing to make you think it's valuable. And they have convinced all these farmers that buy the big machinery, that farm these crops, to produce things that they have been told are valuable. And it is a I want to get I guess the main thing, I'm all over the place, but the main thing I want to get across is that it's no different. I see nothing different on the macro level than the level of production that I see here right now. It is all a control system to where they're going to use every tool that they have and convince you this is the only way. They're going to give you one path, one choice, and yeah, you can benefit from it. You might think that this is the best thing. This is what you need to invest in. This, big corn, put it in cars, make it into fuel, but they've chosen that. It's not an organic system. It's not a system to where it's decentralized. It's all centralized to where they tell you what is valuable and you believe it. And you think this is the only way. This is the only path. That's the only thing they put in front of you.
But that's how they stole our energy, by telling
us they've done that.
Invest in bonds to prevent the big inflation. In the 70s or whatever. I was reading that it's total propaganda. Well, no, it was coming out of the war or something. There's a book called Blondie.
Buy the war bonds so that we can support killing babies, right. and fight the wars for freedom, for America. It's all
about centralizing our energy, taking away our Sean was saying that he heard from somebody or whatever, but that the definition of slavery is something happening to you that you have no choice of and you have no option of. And I think about we work or give our energy, our IP, our name, image, likeness, our constitutional
name, image, likeness,
in US dollars, and we're forced to, because otherwise we'll be sanctioned like Russia. We're forced to put it in this US dollar that then can be manipulated and controlled by the Fed.
Absolutely.
And so any form of money that is centralized, that you put your energy into, makes you a slave. We all live in a slavery system right now.
You're 100% right. And that's where all the problems stem from.
I'm going to jump out and come back in. Sorry, go ahead and talk.
Okay.
You're so right, though, Lisa. We're slaves to the system because we're slaves to inflation. We're slaves to being a shrinking middle class. We're slaves to, if you want to send your child to college now, it costs so much more. If you want to have home ownership, well, you have to pay so much more. And not just adjusted for inflation, way more than you would have paid for a home 50 years ago. Even inflation adjusted, it's way more percentage of your income. We're slaves of the fact that, they send our money here, there, Ukraine, all these places. We have no say about it.
Yep.
I
just saw an announcement that tonight, I guess, Sleepy Joe is planning on sending our military over there and our children to fight, our adult children, but our military over there to fight as well. That's his great plan. I didn't vote for that.
I didn't vote for that either. When we're slaves to all this stuff. I mean, there's you always see stuff about the border on the news. I say, well, if you fix the money, you don't have to worry about the border. No one's going to want to come in if you have sound money and you're not giving everything away, or people that want to come in. If you have sound currency and you're not giving everything away, you want those people here. You're like, hey, they want to come here. They're obviously planning on doing some good. So
that was one of my biggest awakenings on crypto, because I came from a nonprofit world where everybody thinks, oh, we all, sing kumbaya and eat rainbows and poop butterflies. But it is cutthroat because we're all fighting for the same dollar. There's only so many dollars that companies are giving out. And so we're all fighting for those same dollars. It's very competitive industry, I guess you would say.
I love that you're holding that up, Westwood. Now I'm going to hold up something that looks similar, but it's different.
A little bit different, a little something pretty. Oh, a silver certificate?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
silver.
he has a silver certificate. Look at the difference. Look at the top.
Interesting.
At the
Federal
bottom, it
Reserve
says
note.
$1 in silver payable to the bearer on demand.
Yep. And then what does mine say here? It says this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. And legal tenders, we hear people, our lawmakers say this, our lawmakers say that. Guess what? When everybody says our lawmakers, you see it on the news, CNN, all these different programs. Lawmakers, because they're passing laws, they're passing this, they're passing that. We don't need to pass any laws because the law is the Constitution. It's purely defined. It's very pure. It's very consistent. It says what money is. It defines what money is. How many grains of silver is a dollar? That's a dollar. And so when you have a Morgan silver dollar, you pull it out of your pocket, which I don't have one, but I have I carry, like you do, Johnny. I carry, yeah, exactly. I carry this in my pocket. This is not a Morgan silver dollar. This is it says $1 on it, but it is it's the the bullion that they put out, but it's legal tender. Okay, so you can use it in our system, in the Federal Reserve System, which is not federal. It's not a reserve. It was formed in 1913. I mean, money is money. And what is money? And I talk about sound money for the digital age. I talk about Litecoin. I talk about, these things. Money is something that exists outside of government. And that's really all money is. So if the government collapses, it still works. If the government collapses, this is worth nothing. Federal Reserve note is worth nothing. And then what you held up, Johnny, that silver certificate, you used to be able to go into a bank and you could get $1 worth of silver. You could get actual something
this
in
much
your hand.
silver.
Exactly.
This is $1. This is defined in the Constitution, 0.7734 of an ounce. So it's wild where we've came, but I think that being smart with your money is the best way to navigate this craziness. Learn about hard assets. That's why a lot of us are screaming from a mountaintop about get your money out of the fiat system, get into something hard. And right now, I think Litecoin is the best. I think silver is the most undervalued asset on planet Earth.
Can you buy those silver certificates anymore?
No.
I mean, you can go to a coin shop and get them, but
you find the old ones.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, you can't buy them anywhere. It's like aftermarket.
They're not like at the bank. You can't go in and request to buy.
You might get one, in your currency if you go. You might come across one.
You could. It's
possible. But you can't buy it, to where you want to hold value.
Say I want to hold.
They don't know the difference. I mean, you go in there and ask for Daddy O talked about that. He had a friend that went into the bank, and I have an experience where I went into a bank 20 years ago and said, "Hey, you got any silver dollars, dollar coins?" And they gave me a Morgan silver dollar, and I gave them a dollar bill because they don't. To them, it's just it says $1 on it. That's all it means. It means nothing to them. The value of it.
I agree, Dana. I think so too. But they get on to me when I talk too far ahead. So
no, it's but I was saying before about silver is the most undervalued asset on planet Earth, I think. But I think Litecoin has the greatest potential for price appreciation. Not that silver can't increase in value a percentage-wise gain that Litecoin can, but I see it as being less likely. Reason being, I don't know what would stop the silver manipulation ever. When silver is so needed for industry, for solar panels, for electronic vehicle batteries, for smartphones, for all this industry, I feel like every country has the incentive to try to keep a lid on the silver price. Litecoin, let's face it, Bitcoin going up in value, that's good for the stock market. In a way, that's good for a lot of countries. That's good for if you're trading cryptos, and the people we were talking about before, they like that. Like, yeah, let it go up. Hopefully people sell, and then we get to come after them for that T word, So it's, I think Litecoin is just extremely undervalued right now. Like we said in the title, a sleeping giant. And I feel like it's a forgotten coin, not on this channel, but in general, it's a forgotten coin because people like to look at the new kid on the block. What's the new crypto now?
Dogs and frogs, baby. Dogs and frogs.
Why does stuff pop up out of nowhere? Who's promoting this stuff?
Right.
Who has interest in it? What
The fact that there is an alt
money from it?
season, I mean, it's like, well, it's just because.
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe hash this out, Johnny, because you think about, if the money's coming into Bitcoin because of the ETF, why are altcoins pumping? Why? I mean, why do we have Pepe going up 4 times? Why do we have Shiba jumping? Why do we have all these meme coins jumping up if it's about, yeah, exactly, Grok. All these things. Why do we have these things pumping up if it's all about Bitcoin and the ETFs and the big Wall Street money coming in? Because the big Wall Street money can't get into those other coins because they don't have the savvy to do it. Somebody's getting into those coins and pumping them up and putting a lot of money behind it and pumping those things up. So, I mean, what is happening with that? I mean, because, if you've got a 401k, if you've got an investment account, and you can get into the ETF, I mean, you put your money into Bitcoin, you can't put it into Pepe. So who's putting the money into Pepe, I guess? And it's a lot of money. I mean, it's hundreds of millions of dollars pumping that up. Look at the market cap. I mean, that thing's huge. I mean, where's that money coming from? Is it retail, like getting excited again? Or is it, venture capitalism? I mean, where's that money coming from? What is happening right now? I'm just, rhetorically throwing it out there.
It really makes you wonder who's pumping this stuff up. And it's, it's
not mom and pop saying, hey, I can get into the ETF now and buy Bitcoin, because.
Well, they're not accredited investors. Can people that aren't accredited investors be a part of an ETF? I don't even know.
Yeah. Anybody can buy an ETF.
Okay.
You can go, now, will they change that in the future? Who knows? Because technically, like a GBTC, that was the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. That converted to an ETF. So if you have GBTC, you have the ETF now. I don't know. Like right now, anybody can trade stocks. So anybody in theory, even though we don't like it, SLV, anybody can buy SLV. You don't have to be an accredited investor.
Are you talking about like on Robinhood though?
I mean, on any type of.
There's better and best price, and not everyone can get. It's very misleading where they call it like, and I may not be using the right term because I don't get into all that stuff, but they use a very misleading term in retail market for stocks to make them think that they're getting the best price. But then there is another price that they actually hedge or use those numbers and buy against or with that power of what they know that the normies are doing. So there's another pond you can't swim in.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the stock market in general. Certain people can trade after hours, pre-market.
Over the counter.
There's certain rules for certain people. I don't like it. It's the way of the world, though. So I don't.
Well, we need to fight against it.
I agree with that. And, the fact that, what is it? 4% of all the Bitcoin is now hold, the ETFs hold it. I think that was the number yesterday. It's probably going to be 5% tomorrow. At some point, it will be basically everything.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine they'll just keep accumulating Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
Yeah, why not? It'll be the new gold standard. I mean, because gold does not fulfill what they want it to fulfill. They cannot have the control like they used to have with gold. And so Bitcoin is the new thing that they can control. And most people are okay with that because, I mean, you got to face it. I mean, if you are, I'm 51. If I had all my investments, and I know people to where it's like, hey, man, I got my retirement. I got like $500,000 in my retirement. If I can put that into Bitcoin, I'm cool with that, because I do understand things are breaking. And I don't want to put it in there. I need to diversify, because I do understand what's happening. I don't believe in the state of the onion that's coming up here in a little bit, where we've created all these jobs and everything's great. No, I don't believe in that. And I want to put it in something else. So I'm going to put it in Bitcoin. And so they'll take their retirement money if they can do that. And if they're allowed to do that, because it's all custodial, if they're allowed to put a certain percentage, because a lot of them aren't yet, and when they do, they're going to put it in Bitcoin and think that, oh my gosh, look at this. Holy crap. I put it at, think of the people that when the ETF started, it was like $40,000 Bitcoin, and now they're $67,000. They're thinking, this is the best thing in the world. Holy crap, but they can't access that money anyway. And it's just in this ecosystem that doesn't exist in the real world, but on paper, it looks wonderful. It's just like having value in a house. Oh my gosh, what's your house worth? I mean, it's really what it comes down to.
False sense of security with an inflated.
And it really is. And it's just to perpetuate an illusion that continues. And that's the unfortunate thing. I see Bitcoin as being that thing that they've hijacked. And so many people are volunteering into it because it's going to soak up the money. It's going to soak up all the excess. It's going to make price go up. But the thing is, they're holding all that Bitcoin. And now it's 4%. Well, tomorrow it's 10%. Pretty soon it's going to be 50%. And pretty soon they're going to have it all. And why are they going to have it all? Because if you're a little guy like us and you put $1,000 in Bitcoin and it costs you $100 a transaction, and at some point it costs you $1,000 for a transaction, and because that's the nature of the blockchain when it fills up. And if you only got $1,000 and it costs you $1,000 to move, well, that's idiocy. Mm-hmm. But if it's sitting up here in Cash App, and it's sitting up here in an ETF, and you can transfer it, and you can go buy coffees and do all this stuff, it looks seamless. That's very attractive. I've gained, and I can go buy shit in the real world. And see, this is the game they're playing on us. I mean, and I see it so clearly that they are just robbing us. They can't control all the cryptos. I mean, they can't. And that's where Litecoin comes in, Digibyte comes in, Dogecoin comes in. All these other cryptos come in that you can hold in your own possession. And you can buy my Digibyte on a Sunday when the banks are closed because the ETFs aren't open. I mean, those kinds of things. But that's been lost. And I see humanity getting hijacked, and I see them ushering into this system to where they're just basically issuing new casino chips, that have the gold Bitcoin on it. And it, this one, yesterday it was worth 100. Now it's worth 200. Cool. My stack goes up. And so many people buy into that. And it's just that's not freedom though. I mean, at some point, and not everybody's going to get freedom. Everybody wants, to get rich and feel like they're wealthy. But I mean, think about it. If you work 30 years and you got $500,000 in retirement, and you can roll that into Bitcoin because you see what the dollar's doing, and you can't cash out your retirement, you put it in Bitcoin, and I can spend it. I can borrow from it. I can do all these things with it, but you're still a damn slave. I mean,
exactly. The ETF is a way for them to make it so you have to play in their casino.
Yeah, it's palatable slavery.
How do you make money on the Bitcoin ETF? Sure, you can make money. You sell. What do you sell into? Fiat. So then you're right back to square one. You made fiat.
You better buy something like lickety split. Quick.
The only difference with the Bitcoin ETF, why the price will keep going up, because it's a lot easier to see on the blockchain. Are they accumulating this Bitcoin or whatever other crypto as an ETF in the future? Are they accumulating it? They can't, if they say, oh, we bought this much silver, sold this much silver.
Right.
How do we know? Okay, that sounds great. What are they going to send us? We'll send you pictures. What some AI they create?
Yeah.
So there's
The
no way
Right.
for us to
mirrored
tell.
images.
But
of
we've been
Franklin
through
Park.
this, and Bix is spent his whole life, basically unwinding all this and showing that they don't have the silver. And I think that's where we're going with the Bitcoin. They don't have the Bitcoin, and they're going to rehypothecate it. And if as long as they trade it and say, "Oh, well, yeah, it's over here in Bank of America. Oh, yeah, we switched it over here to J.P. Morgan." It's I see it as the same old song and dance.
I don't know if they'll play that game with Bitcoin, because I don't think they mind the price going up. I think they like the price going up.
I think they have to let it go up, because that's going to absorb all the excess stuff. If we let them do that, it's going to let them transition into the digital system and take all the wealth.
Bitcoin's not like silver, where silver's needed for stuff. So they can't let the silver price go up too much, because they have to use it in industry. I mean, let's face it, I think a Tomahawk missile or whatever, I heard Andy Scheckman talking, uses 500 ounces of silver. That's a monster box right there.
Right.
Come on, they like Bitcoin. What do they care if the Bitcoin price is high? What do they care? You let the Bitcoin price be high. Great. Yeah. So, and the fact that you can see so I don't think that's an issue. I think it's really more or less, hey, don't hold the Bitcoin yourself. Let BlackRock or let Vanguard, let these institutions hold it for you. It's safe. It's easy. And the sad thing is that, see, this is where I have a problem with these Bitcoin maximalists. They fought us so much on using Litecoin, using cryptos, creating these payment systems, making it usable, making it peer-to-peer electronic cash. They fought us so much on it that we didn't get as much adoption as we should have got. We were
exactly.
met with resistance.
That's what would have fixed it. That would have fixed it.
We were met with such resistance, and now it's like, oh yeah, well, you can have a Bitcoin ETF and the price can go up and you can make fiat. It's like, okay, that's cool. It's cool to make money, but what about the use? What about the problem it's solved? It's like, well, don't worry about the problem it's solved. Worry about making fiat. You don't need that. We don't need to solve those problems, kind of thing.
You can buy a bigger house. You can buy a big car. You can buy an RV, a boat. Hey, you know what? That's fine. And you know what? You don't get your Bitcoin to buy it, but you got the Bitcoin to back it up. Hey, your Bitcoin went to $300,000 of Bitcoin, and you put in 40,000. You can buy this, buy that. Boom, we'll write you a check. It's no different than the banks right now. Like when you go to take out $10,000 in cash, what do they say? Well, what are you doing with that? Why do you need that? We'll write you a cashier's check.
And they don't
What are you buying? What are you buying?
3 days.
You just write the cashier's check and you go buy your boat.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you need the cash to buy it? Well, I can get a better deal with it. Why do you want to do that? And you go through all the hoops. It's no different, and it's so obvious to me, and it really violates, at a spiritual level to me, it really pisses me off, is really what it does.
The only advantage, Westwood, which I mentioned earlier in the show, is that if you have Bitcoin, or maybe in the future Litecoin or ETH, whatever other crypto is an ETF, you'll be able to borrow against it at a competitive rate.
No, I get it, but no, let me stop you right there, because it's like we went through the last cycle to where you could borrow against your crypto, and they took all your crypto. I mean, that's what they're going to do again.
That was a different type of product, and I
guess it was. But when you don't have it and they're the custodian, yeah, of course they're going to print the money to let you buy all the assets that they produce. Yeah. They want you to have the economy flowing, because the economy's dead. And then we're going to hear here in the State of the Union how the economy is great, because it's all based on fiat. So taking loans out is based on fiat. So screw them. You know what I mean? And so I'm getting to the point to where I'm just like, this is ridiculous.
I guess I'd obviously rather just the sound money system. But until we go to that system, borrowing is necessary to compete in that world. So in other words, you need access for businesses and stuff like that. You need
I get
access
it.
to capital.
And I get it. And you
I'd
work in the
rather
business
we
world, and I do. I 100% understand that. It's just like, at what point do we say we're tired of participating in the business world that they've created?
Well,
We're
the
tired of
problem is
playing in that
we're
casino.
tired of it, but the rest of the world is so snake charmed by it that
I know.
normies, and they have people right
But
where
it's
they
time
want
to
them.
step. It's time to step on the snake and take the pain and eat it. I mean,
know we
are we
get
not at that point yet?
We get that, but we're in the minority with this big
I know
time.
that. I know
I
that.
think
But
we won't be
but a
when
strong
Galen
minority with strong beliefs can change the world. And I may be a true believer. I may be, an idealist. But I think at some point we've got to stop it. And we have to. We've got an opportunity. We've got Bitcoin white paper. Nobody believes in anymore. I mean, Litecoin is the real Bitcoin. At some point, when do we stop this and say, that's it, I'm opting out? And I'm at that point to where I'm ready to opt out. And I think there's a very, very small minority that we're talking to right now that, unless we stop it now, it's never going to change. And, generationally, we're just going to keep going down the same road.
Maybe
And
when we stop putting our value in dollars and realize
yeah,
that we are
it's just,
valuable, and
okay,
that
I get
we are
more,
being
I get
screwed,
more, I get more, I get
and we are
more.
being taken from, and then we're not getting more by engaging in this system, because it's not just about money or things you can buy.
No, it's the things they
It's about our
traffic.
vote
It's the evil that they
and our
do
voice.
that we're complicit to by continuing to participate. And
Right,
I'm at a point where it's like, fine, take everything, fine,
and
crucify me.
you don't have the guilt of, dead babies on your
Exactly. I can't live that way
because
anymore.
the
And
US
enough people have to
decided
get to
be
that
the only
point.
person in the UN saying, no ceasefire in Gaza.
I just feel like we're perpetuating the same game. I mean, I really do. And the game is so corrupt that I'm done with it. You know what I mean? And yeah, they may age out, and Mitch McConnell might say, well, I'm retiring now, because I'm incompetent, or Biden, may at some point, go away. But it's like, I'm not good with them going away. I'm just not at this point. I'm not good with them just going away. And maybe that's me, but,
I challenge everybody, though, to read. It's funny you have the Bitcoin white paper. I say for homework, everybody should read the Bitcoin white paper. It's not that long to read.
No.
It seems like if you look into Bitcoin or look into Litecoin, you're like, wait a minute, are they talking about Litecoin? They're not talking about the Bitcoin that Bitcoin maxis praise and all that. And it's not. I'm not anti-Bit. I like Bitcoin. It's a good. I think Bitcoin is a good store of value. I like the Bitcoin is the ultimate economics lesson of supply and demand economics. It's completely inelastic. It's very scarce. It's being accumulated. We have a halving coming up. So it's a really great economics lesson, but it's an economics lesson. It's not something that's used. And we're all about, on this channel, I know, showing you solutions to beat the bad guys. Where's your lifeboat out of this system? How are we going to potentially use this stuff and win? And Bitcoin.
Well, and that's another place that Litecoin is different. And now that there has been the big announcement, I wanted to mention that the mobile wallet, the MWeb mobile wallet, is launching. And I don't know if they're going to launch it at the summit or if it's going to come out before, but it's basically like ready to go. And that gives a privacy cash peer-to-peer layer 1 cash-like solution for people. So that was needed. Desperately,
very needed.
because without privacy, there is no freedom.
Exactly.
Let's explain to everybody a little bit what that is. People hear us saying it, but not everyone. So MWeb is shortened. It's Mimblewimble. Mm-hmm. And what that is think of it, it's woven into the Litecoin blockchain. It's what's called an extension block. So basically, you could take your Litecoin, you could teleport on the layer 1. This is not a layer 2, into this Mimblewimble MWeb privacy layer. Then you could transact in private without somebody peeking in and saying, hey, who'd you send those coins to? How much is in your wallet? What are you holding, kind of thing. The problem with it up until this point, it works great. It hasn't had any glitches, hasn't had any hiccups at all. It's flowing perfect. The problem is you run a full node in order to use it. And you have to run a full node on a PC or some type of computer. And the problem is most people don't even have a computer anymore. They have a tablet. They have a smartphone. They're not walking around with a computer. So they can't run this full node. It's not feasible. It's not possible. So most people haven't been able to use MWeb because they only have a mobile wallet or a tablet. So they haven't had the capabilities to use it. Now it's coming to mobile wallets, which they also call mobile wallets lightweight clients. That's what they're called. Technically, they're called lightweight clients. And it's fun. I'll bring up something else. I know you guys, I heard you guys talking about it last week on that Spaces, the fork. And Lisa, you were saying it's not a fork unless they...
Right. Litecoin's not a fork.
Right. So what I would comment on that is that there's something called hard forks or contentious forks. Okay. And that's like Bitcoin Cash. That was like Bitcoin SV. And that's what a new chain is created. That's why if you held Bitcoin in August of 2017...
And he's arguing that his is the original. Craig Wright's arguing because he got the copyright or something in court.
It's a contentious fork.
He's arguing that he has the original.
It's a contentious fork. Litecoin, what they consider it, they say that they forked the code. And that's, to me, that's not a real fork. But the developers and stuff, if you maybe even ask Charlie Lee, he'd say, yeah, I forked the code. So when you fork the code, you're using that code base, but you're not, it's not a contentious fork where you're trying to create a new chain.
Right, because he had a Genesis block and he told everybody when it was going to be launched. And so it started from zero. It did not ride on top of anything that came before.
When Bitcoin Cash came out, it had exactly the amount of Bitcoin that were out was the amount of BCH that was out.
Yep.
That's and then they're saying, hey, we're the real chain. We're the real Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And then the Bitcoin main chain said, no, we're the real Bitcoin. And then there was a fight back and forth. And so that's that's where these contentious, they call them hard forks, come in.
But and so that's okay. Let's get into a little bit of woo. This is why people hate Litecoin. Because it started out, and you go to 84million.com, go look at Kyle's interview, and Charlie Lee's talked about it before. He interviewed him on 84million.com. He talked about, how he created Litecoin and how Charlie Lee, hey, what date do you want us to launch this? I mean, ask the community. Did everything that he could possibly do at the time to make sure that everybody had an opportunity to get into it. And, he said, we had, hundreds, thousands of people mining Litecoin. And, there were other coins that came out that tried to be proof of stake and didn't exist. They no longer exist. And you have a coin that came out to where everybody had an opportunity to get into it. Nobody had the opportunity to get into Bitcoin. That's why you've got 1 million pre-mined Bitcoin that are out there. Somebody holds it.
Pre-mined, but
I say it's pre-mined because I'm going to be controversial, but it kind of was because nobody else really knew about it, and so somebody holds it.
Technically, they had a Genesis block, but
they did.
Nobody knew about it. So
exactly.
Who else was mining it then?
Right. So basically, I'm calling it a pre-mine.
When Litecoin came out, people knew Bitcoin was already being traded on the exchanges and stuff. So people knew about it, which That's even more advantage. More people knew about it, came into existence, more decentralized. Charlie didn't have nearly the amount of coins that Satoshi had.
No.
Not even. So when Charlie sold his stake in Litecoin, it wasn't like he sold off 1 million Litecoins. He didn't have nearly that amount. So it's.
And you know, the funny thing is, nobody knew until he sold it. So it didn't affect the market. Nobody knew about it. I mean, he put it into the market and the market absorbed it, and nobody knew until after the fact, and then they give him crap about it. Meanwhile, you've got somebody that holds 1 million Bitcoin, and not just Bitcoin, but Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, Bitcoin Gold, which is pumping right now. Somebody holds that. Who holds that? I mean, that's a considerable amount
the
of money.
Satoshi wallets also hold. The Satoshi wallet also holds those coins, if you think about it.
All of them. That's a lot of money. It's sitting out on the sidelines that we don't know.
Well, now let's go to some non-controversial stuff. What about the ratio right now? What's the Bitcoin to Litecoin ratio? Let me look it up right now.
800 to 1 or something.
It's 758 to 1. Historically, it was about 200 to 1, let's say on average for the last 5 years or so, right? Even that's undervalued for Litecoin, but it's 758 to 1. Since I've been involved with Litecoin, it's went as low as 54 to 1. It's went down that low twice. So twice since I've been involved with Litecoin, the ratios went to 54 to 1. So would you not say it's undervalued right now, that it's 758 Litecoins or 758 Litecoins to 1 Bitcoin? I mean, it's really undervalued. So let me explain to you guys. If you guys say, someone out there might be watching the show saying, hey, I like the idea of Litecoin, but I really want to just hold Bitcoin. I like the idea of Bitcoin as a store of value or an investment. If you bought Litecoin right now and waited till the ratio changed and swapped into Bitcoin, you'd have way more Bitcoin than you would have just if you bought Bitcoin straight up right now. You could play that game, the swapping game, back and forth. You could wind up with 20 Bitcoins when you're all said and done from using the ratio to your advantage, swapping back.
If that's what you put value in, yeah.
If that's
absolutely
what you put value in. Something a lot of people out there do. So we got to,
should do it.
You should do it. If Litecoin, if that's what you're after, Litecoin can help you get there. So there's just a lot of use of Litecoin. Litecoin, I was talking about, it's easy to convert into other currencies, fiat currency and cryptocurrency. It's easy to convert into both of them.
I was going to say right now, if you were to tell someone new, let's say that everybody got their, I'm going to give you a pretend Lisa scenario. Everybody got their tax returns back and a bunch of people chose to have it deposited in their new account in Coinbase. It's easy to open and all that. Do you remember that push a year or two ago? And you could get your return on Coinbase in crypto, and they're sitting there, and I guess that would be USDC or something in it. That would be one option. What would some other easy options be for people to get into Litecoin?
Probably the easiest options right now is to use Venmo or PayPal.
PayPal. I mean, I've had good experiences with PayPal. I mean, a lot of people have PayPal. I don't like them because of a lot of different things, but I've always had a good experience as far as buying it and then being able to withdraw it. You can go on PayPal. It's one of 4 that are on PayPal. It's Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Ethereum.
And more people use Venmo. PayPal owns Venmo.
Right. Exactly.
Venmo is the most popular.
To transact.
So Venmo and PayPal, again, same thing, same back end, obviously.
And something's changing with all of that, because you know how I wasn't allowed to have a Venmo. I need to try and see if I can get a Venmo account now. But I got on Cash App. I've never been able to get a card or use a card on Cash App. And all of a sudden, the other day, now that it shows up that I have a card available with an account in Cash App, I've never had that before.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, the good thing is about Litecoin, I mean, there are gateways, there are abilities to do that. And somebody earlier in the chat said, what happened to the Litecoin card? What happened to Get Hedge? I mean, the bankers took that stuff down.
Yeah,
I mean, they did not allow those transactions. And I mean, the bankers will do everything they can to not allow you to get in this
We've
system.
been attacked by the banking industrial complex.
And here's the thing, if the banks collapse and you got to hold something, guess what? Litecoin network still works. And guess what? I'm not going to have to pay a big transaction
Warrior brought up a great comment. He said he swapped Litecoin for Theta the other day, still purchasing Litecoin. That's a great use for Litecoin. If you want Theta, there's no way, to my knowledge, to buy Theta with fiat in the United States.
Nope.
You have to swap for it. What better coin to use to swap for it than Litecoin?
Yep, it's a payment rail. It's very easy to. It's very liquid. The money is there. You can swap it. You buy Rolex watches with it. I can buy 66. Well, it was probably like, what was it? It was 60. I don't even know what the number was. $65,000, 65.5 for solar panels for this house.
Oh yeah.
Supposedly, 83% of the energy for the year. They're going to come and install solar panels for my house. I asked, can I pay with Litecoin? And the guy's like, what? The salesman, he doesn't know. He wants to get paid. He doesn't care. He wants his cash. So I said, ask your owner. And so he goes back and he calls me back and he says, yeah, he'll take Litecoin. Wow. And I said, okay, what's he because I'm curious. What's he going to use? What payment platform is he going to use to get it back into cash because he's running a business? And he said, no, he wants to hold the Litecoin. He wasn't going to transact out of it. He would take the Litecoin directly and hold it for $66,000 of solar panels. The guy was willing to take Litecoin. And I'm like, yeah, well, I ain't going to pay you in Litecoin at this price. But it's just that, I mean, he understood the value. A business owner was willing to take Litecoin and accept it.
Hold it as an asset.
Peer-to-peer transaction. Peer-to-peer transaction for energy, something that produced energy. And so, I mean, ask the question, like you say, Johnny, with payment structures. I look at it as like, have you looked into the payment network of Litecoin? Have you looked into Litecoin payments? Because it's a lot better than, the credit card payments. Have you looked into the Litecoin payment network? That's another angle that you can approach people and say, hey, have you considered using the Litecoin payment network?
That's what we've been talking with people, like when we go to these shows or talk to other like antique dealers or vendors of things. And we'll tell, because a lot of them are like, they want to deal in dirty fiat cash, the old way. But
they know.
They're like, but these kids are coming in wanting to buy all our mid-century modern stuff, and they all want to use Cash App and Venmo, or they want to give us a credit card, and we don't want. They've had chargebacks, and they're terrified. You
don't want that shit. Oh my God,
6 months later to destroy their business, and they don't understand. A lot of these people are older doing the antique stuff. They don't want to do the Cash App and Venmo, all of that stuff. So part of that is a learning curve and how we're moving forward in society. Rand is asking, can you pull crypto off of PayPal or Venmo?
Yes.
I believe you can
off of PayPal.
Your own wallet.
I have not been able to pay. I have not been able to get it off of Venmo. I don't know if it's just me because I'm on the list, but Venmo, I cannot pull it off. PayPal, I can. I've done it. Okay. Now, here's another example. You got rich off Pepe. Pepe coin. You made a bunch of money. Okay, so now you got to put it into something that you can use it for real life value. All right. So the other day I just did a little experiment. I said, okay, I got a little bit of amp. I'm like, all right, let me take 10,000 amp, which is like 40, under $50. And I want to transfer that to my own wallet. You know what the transaction fee, because it's an ERC20 token, on the Ethereum network, it was over $100 just to move $50 worth of amp.
Yeah, no thanks. Didn't some
And
guy
you wonder why I love Litecoin. I mean,
didn't
you know,
some guy drive around with
seriously,
that
I
on his
mean,
car for a while? I don't remember.
it's just crazy. I
You
mean, it
brought up a
really
great-
is.
You brought up a great point, though. If you make money on one of these coins, these high-flying coins,
If you don't make a lot of money,
Litecoin or Bitcoin. I told so many people during the last bull run, so many people had Voyager token, all these tokens.
Yep.
And I said, look, put your money in Bitcoin, put your money in Litecoin. I said, put it in 50-50, do 50-50, right?
Yep.
And a lot of these coins went to zero and people were kicking themselves. And I actually, I was in a local group chat that was a cryptos focused like on WhatsApp, and the market got so frothy, and I was just like, man, these people are gonna get burned, because I saw a lot of people getting excited, and I was like the boring guy in there. People like, what should I do? I said, oh wow, you made some money on that coin, put it into Bitcoin, put it into Litecoin, put it in, and people were like sick of hearing, like, what else? I said, I can't tell you to do anything else. It doesn't make sense. Look at the ratio. Look at how much it's gained. I said, if you could take any crypto, look at it priced in Bitcoin. If it's outperformed Bitcoin so much in a short period of time, move it into Bitcoin or move it into Litecoin. Take your profits in one of those two coins and move on with your life, and be happy that you made a good trade. You made a good move, and now you got more Litecoin, you got more Bitcoin. But so many people were like after the next crypto and these shit cryptos. And I kind of left everyone with like a cryptic message. I kind of said that we were, I called it a deflationary spike event. This when the crypto market was pumped up. I said there's going to be a deflationary spike event, and all markets are going to crash, is what I said, the crypto market included. I said, you better get into the best stuff now. And the chat ended not too long after that, because the market crashed and people got fed up and they lost all their money on meme coins and whatnot. And
well, and in Uncle Cliff's data, there's going to be an event. I think it's when the crash. I can't remember the exact information. Maybe one of you guys can help me, but there's going to be an event or a crash or something, and there out of the ashes will rise only a few coins. Not all of these are going to survive. Right now, there's, I don't even know, over 1,000 coins or something.
Oh, there's thousands of
or
coins.
there's thousands. Okay.
Thousands.
Yeah. But out of the ashes of that event, and that may be when the Fed goes down and the dollar's dead and all these other things. I mean, I would think that only proof of work that people hold in their own possession are going to be left after that time, because if dollars are backing up holding the value of those other coins, that all goes away if the Fed goes down.
And not only that, what if you take a Solana or something like that, and say that blockchain.
Here's the thing. I just looked up Solana, Johnny, real quick. I looked it up, and it is, all right, real quick. Sorry, I thought it was real quick. Solana, CoinGecko.com.
Trump put or Melania put her NFTs on.
And that's fine, but you know, I believe in myself. Let's see, trust yourselves. So Solana, I could have bought it $8 and I didn't. I should have. And I could have made a lot of fiat dollars. But Solana right now, let's just click in and let's look and see what Solana is all about. $145 a coin right now. But you got to look at the circulating supply is 443 million. The total supply is 571 million, and it's infinite. So there's a disparity here. There's 443 million out there, and there's 571 that exist. Where's that gap, and who owns that extra 100 plus million?
And it's infinite.
And it's an infinite coin.
Mm.
And you got to ask yourself, okay, with Litecoin, with Bitcoin, with Digibyte, with Dogecoin, you know how many there are? But the thing is, I mean, there's nobody hiding behind the scenes that own, like a certain segment of it.
Well,
And so, Johnny, you can go out and create a smart contract on Ethereum right now and have a Johnny coin, Johnny Litecoin coin.
What about this scenario? Fiat system goes down. You have all your money in Solana, and their blockchain goes down.
Which it's done like 8, 9 times.
And their developers, it's happened a ton of times, and now their developers are all getting paid salaries in fiat, and the fiat system went down, so they're not working. Your money's in Solana. Who's going to come rescue that blockchain and get it back up and running?
Exactly. It's no different than what Bick says, to where it's like if you've got your silver, if you've got, 10,000 ounces, sitting in a warehouse that the guards are guarding, when everything falls apart, do you think the guards are going to stand there with their weapons and guard that silver for you?
This is Westwood silver.
You're going to go, exactly. It's like, well, back the truck up, beep, beep, Polly, back up the truck, beep, beep, beep. And it's like, we're out of here. It's like, you don't have it because you never had it. And that's the thing. You never had the asset. I mean, and so, in the long game, and the long game may be longer than I'm alive, but the long game is right here. And that's why every video I make has Litecoin in the background, because I know what it is. I understand what it is. I know that there's no founder stash. I know that nobody's pre-mined it. I know that what's out there is what is out there, and I know the rules are defined. And I'll tell you what, if the rules are defined, I'm going to win. I will win, because, I mean, you're not going to game me. You're not going to move the goalpost.
Something funny today about the intrinsic value of gold, and people are saying gold's for when the grid goes down or whatever. And he said, let me ask you something. If you're on a deserted island, would you rather have a ham sandwich or an ounce of gold? He goes, I'd rather have the ham sandwich. Maybe I'm going to live for another week.
Exactly. I use the example of, you can go to Costco right now and buy like a case of water for like $4. You get all these bottles of water. But guess what? If you take it to the desert, Saudi Arabia, and they can't pump oil, they can't do anything anymore. They got no wealth coming out of the ground, but they got to survive. What's that bottle of water worth? Because you own it. I mean, it's worth it. Name your price.
Yeah. Now I think that's a little misleading with silver and gold. We say, well, silver and gold, it's for this Mad Max scenario. Maybe for the first couple days while stores still have stuff and they're thinking, hey, everything's going to come back up, come back online.
Someone's going to come save them.
Let's be serious. They'd rather have fiat. They don't understand silver and gold.
For about 2 weeks.
And then, okay, maybe you say, no, I'll and if you say you go in there with quarters, constitutional, you say, oh, no, I got constitutional money. That's going to be good to barter with. Well, if you can't get on the internet, how the hell are you going to explain to them that a quarter from 1964 has silver in it? They're going to say, no, that's a quarter. They're going to say, you're going to say, no, it's silver. It's worth this much. They're going to say, you're crazy. That's a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
That's 25 cents. They're going to see the face value of it.
You're going to say, hey, you got a 22 with some rounds?
Which is why I always say, if you have bars of silver that say the weight on it, that's probably not a bad way to transact when shit goes down, because you can eat somebody that doesn't look like a coin. That's a bar, and people think, oh, that has value. It's a bar of metal. What is that? 10 ounces of 0.9995 fine silver.
Mm-hmm.
They won't know what it's worth, but at that point in time, what's it worth to them? Will they give you
because somebody is telling you what it's worth, and the fact that it's stamped on there and it says 1 ounce of silver, they're going to say, okay, I need silver right now. And then as the collapse progresses, you're going to have people who they understand the value of these things, and those are the people, the remnant, who are going to survive, and those are the people who have real assets, chickens, that kind of stuff that grows out of the ground. I mean, if it gets that bad, it's a progressive thing to where it's like, yes, cash is good for a while, It will be good for a while because that's what people know. And then it's going to be, okay, I need something more than cash. That cash, they're printing up wheelbarrows full. Okay, that says 1 ounce of silver. And then people will say, okay, any kind of silver, I don't care. And then it's going to be, it doesn't matter, they're going to kill you for, whatever you got. And so it's a progressive thing. It depends where you're at and what your path is and where you find yourself landing, where you put yourself. But no, you're absolutely right, because when things go down, people are going to look at that ounce of silver and say, oh, that's 1 ounce of silver. It tells me that it is. They're so used to being told what to do because they don't know what real value is.
In a lawless society. And not only that, I agree with you that I like gold and silver that's legal tender for purposes of store of value in a normal society. It's good to have eagles, gold eagle, constitutional money, Morgans, things. But in a lawless society, it's going to be what's identifiable. The legal tender silver ain't going to make sense to people. They don't understand legal tender now. They don't
know what fiat. Charlie was getting so frustrated with me because we were at an event and I was like, we take dirty fiat, and then we had our Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum wallet there. He wanted Ethereum. I don't want that crap. But anyway.
Hey, if they're paying for the transaction fee,
I guess, whatever. But he had it on there on the table. And so we would ask everybody, do you want to pay in crypto or or we can take dirty fiat, these things, whatever. And if people did not know what it was, they don't know what fiat is. They don't know what a federal note is.
No.
They don't know. They just think
you take a $2 bill, which is legal tender, to McDonald's, and nobody knows what it is. They think it's counterfeit. They have no idea.
When you really get out there in the public and talk to people in a situation like that, Lisa, it's eye-opening.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, to me, I talk to the public all the time with credit card systems and stuff. It's very humbling in a way for what we do, knowing so much about this stuff at a high level, understanding currency, understanding value. Then you talk to most people and this isn't even in the realm of their thoughts. This isn't even, they're just like, they use dollars. They know their credit card. They have a savings account maybe. And that's the extent of their, maybe they use Venmo. Mm-hmm. And if you said something about Bitcoin, oh, it's a way to transfer value, or Litecoin, they'd say, well, I have Venmo. What's that needed for? And they just don't,
don't think that all happened. I think about the dumbing down of America and how people transitioned from, balancing their own checkbooks and knowing what was in their accounts, or even just spending what money they had, and then getting a loan was like a big event, whatever, to borrowing is a way of life now. They transitioned, we the people, the sheep, all the little middlemen, as they sent our jobs over to outsource our jobs to China and everywhere else. Then they transitioned us all over to this debtor slavery economy, where people didn't even realize they were spending money they don't even have yet, and that will have the inflationary tax on that money in the future, even more than what they're spending right now. So,
yeah.
Oh well, so what?
Jim Montgomery brought up my favorite topic, besides for Litecoin and peptides, probably the moon. And,
I know I didn't post it up there because I thought it would trigger you.
Hey, we should be on a moon cycle. I mean, seriously, I go out and walk the dogs and I watch the moon in the sky. It's like we should be on 13 months, and then here we are, to transition in. We got to forward the clocks this weekend.
Looking at how they pulled they pulled such a fast one on the public with this moon fraud stuff, moon landing fraud stuff, and
but that can happen in reverse just as well. Like, so that, I guess that was my point, is like, They walked the whole general pop into that system without them even knowing that they had turned the water on, those little froggies. And now we can turn the water off or turn the fire off. And hopefully some of the little froggies still live and have a chance, to jump out and get some freedom.
Look how easy it is, though, to mislead the public. That's why I talk about the moon stuff a lot, because I use that as an example, and people defend it feverishly and say, well, we couldn't even, if we can't even get close now, how do we get there then? And people just say, oh, they give you every excuse.
Yeah.
And to me, it's a real case study on behavior. It's how they were able to pull off COVID and all this other stuff.
Yes.
It's like people just take things that, okay, well, that's what they told us. And a lot of people say, no, I know it was real. I watched it on TV.
It's the Google vomit too. The Google vomit training. Public school has taught you. It's called read wrote memorization or something like that. There's some term for it.
Rote, ROTE. Yeah, rote memorization.
I thought that's what I'm saying. Rote.
Jim Montgomery said it worked. It got me triggered.
Yeah. And it is teaching people, here is the answer. Memorize this. Now, when I ask you XYZ, or when I ask you X plus Y, you tell me Z, and do not think for yourself. And that Google vomit is what got everybody in this bad situation. That's why we have to re-engage our brain, think about what ifs, have a good conspiracy theory friend, and re-engage that thinking part of your brain.
I was helping my daughter with something for school, and it was something about climate change, and she's like, Daddy, help me. I kept saying, it's a load of BS, this and that, yada, yada. So the climate's always changing. I said, but not what they're trying to, how they're trying to explain it to you. So she's like, well, just help me. And just try to get me so I was trying to look up stuff for her to write down. Everything I'm looking up saying, everything we could possibly do has such a little impact. This is what it's saying even when you look it up. So I said, you have to take the other side of this. And she was so adamant that she's going to get a bad grade unless she agrees with the opinion they have and how they've positioned it to her. This is climate change. This is how you must think. Mm-hmm. You have to be a parrot and give us, well, what if you say, well, hey, here's how I feel about it.
Turn in your parents.
But it's not because of that. And everything we'll do. I said, start out with saying India and China are the world's biggest polluters. Until they do anything, it's like we're spitting in the ocean. And start out with that statement. It's a real boom.
I've got a science experiment you can do with her too to help her, quell the fear of us all drowning when the polar ice caps melt.
Hey, remember Leonard Nimoy back in 1978 or something, or 1980, talking about acid rain and how it's going to kill everybody? And, what's the next big thing that's going to kill everybody? Well, the next big thing that's going to kill everybody is they're going to take control of your energy, and they're going to take all your Bitcoin, and they're going to control it and make it a new gold standard. I mean, seriously. I mean, this is all a fraud. This is all a sham. I mean, what you're living in.
That's a great people. Bricks.
It really is. It's all bullshit. I mean, everything is bullshit. And I usually don't like to drop all these, the swear words, when I'm talking live and doing all this stuff. But I mean, spaces on Friday night's another thing. But it really is. It's ridiculousness. It's like we're just being enslaved and being, taught a certain thing that this is what you need to do. And I'm the best guy. I got a 4.0 in college because I'm a good test taker. I know what they're going to say. I know what I need to do, and it's like, okay, yeah, cool. Give me my piece of paper. Wizard of Oz bullshit. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you got your certificate. Oh, yeah. And it's like, but there's a little midget, a little weak man behind the curtain that's just nothing but a charlatan. I mean, it's stop, man. Stop. It's all BS. I mean, we have a bunch of, listen, we're controlled by what? 535 people, 435, 536, 435 people in Congress, 100 people in the Senate, and 1 person in the White House. And they give us a narrative out of a bogus entity, a corporation that does not exist. And they tell us that we need to give our energy to it so that we can do whatever they say. And what was it last night, Lisa, fill me in. Did they pass that bill? Continuing resolution 460 billion or whatever it was. Not one dime went to secure the border.
They're just the front men for
nothing.
They're just
front men.
People in charge.
Yeah, exactly. And the real people in charge are the people who are laughing at us that we're arguing about things, because they control the world. They own the land. They own the production. And what do? I go out here and I have good Christian soldiers, getting in their big John Deere tractors, here in a couple of weeks, and they're going to go out and plant GMO corn sprayed with Monsanto, and they're going to make money because we got to grow corn, we got to grow beans, and GMO beans, GMO corn, and we're going to feed the world, and we're going to make the world a better place because we got full bellies. But the full bellies, make us fat, make us have a lot of cancer, and we've got new drugs that can help us lose weight. Just take a shot for $4,000 a month, and all our movie stars are taking it. And so we need to take it so that we can lose weight. And it's all a big scam. I mean, everybody's making money, and it's all fake money. But the thing is, we all lose in the process of it until we disconnect from that and say, I ain't playing this game anymore. I don't care. My energy is not going into that. And I mean, it's a spiritual awakening. It's an information war. It is a spiritual battle that we're in, to where you can choose to participate or you can disconnect, is really what it comes down to. And a lot of the people that I've found in this crypto space, it has been that lighthouse that has awakened people. It has woke people. It is making people wake up and say, something ain't right, and I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to play the game anymore. I'm not going to live a life of, enslavement that has been going on and on and on forever. And at some point, I don't care about the consequences.
I had somebody,
and that's what most people are saying. I don't care. I'm done. And I know so many people like that, where it's like, I'm done. I don't even care. It doesn't even affect me. And you know what? It doesn't. It doesn't affect
if you can have community. Think about people that have been successful in this are groups like the Amish.
Yep.
Or whatever, where they had community and they built their own economy. And we can do that with cryptocurrency. We can say, hey, that's our religion, and because these are our beliefs, and do you want to be part of the community with us? And then we opt out of the other system, and that is something that's not like, oh, I could never imagine that. No, there's all kinds of religious groups that live here but don't participate in the government structure. We can do that too. Everybody's dead quiet.
It's true.
It's getting late. We probably should hang it up.
It is. I gotta go. I gotta check out and do a couple things before my bedtime over here.
Yes, I know we kept you up really late.
Well, go see Johnny. Here's the thing. Everybody needs to come to the Litecoin Summit. It's $84 for everybody. It's not, multi-tiered to where, if you're special, you get to go, to this conference, that conference. No, the Litecoin Summit, Nashville, Tennessee, July 24th and 25th. You're going to see great speakers. You're going to see Johnny Litecoin speak. $84 just to get in. Probably not going to cover the cost to put the thing on. But the thing is, you're going to get around like-minded people. You're sitting here thinking, yes, I get it. I resonate with these people. These are good people. Get to Nashville. I mean, you don't have to go to Las Vegas and go to Sin City and, have all the bad vibes. No, you get to go to Nashville and, somewhat central in the country to where you can all drive there. A lot of people can drive there. A lot of people from the Northeast coming down, and I'm going to drive there. And, come see good people and get around good people, because it validates everything that you're thinking.
Much better.
There are like-minded people out there.
Vegas is not good
Vegas
energy.
Sucks. It's Vegas a trafficking central bunch of vampires.
They call it Sin City. I mean, that's demonic if you think about it. Sin.
Yeah, and we laugh about it and think it's okay. It's like, oh yeah,
How
let's go out there and just engage in the blood sacrifice. Anyway, no.
Nashville, Tennessee, that's a much more American city. I mean, I'd much rather have the Litecoin Summit in a good
There's
spot.
a copy of the White House. I believe Kid Rock owns it. That they're in Nashville. That'd be cool.
Well, I will see you guys there, but we'll be talking about it a lot more before we go. We'll have a lot more shows to talk about it, but good topic today, guys. Good show.
Definitely.
Westwood, thanks for coming in.
Sorry if I stole the thunder,
always
brought the happy hour vibe into
always
the
like
Thursday
hearing
night.
your thoughts. Always, it was a great.
And thanks
great
to everybody
combo.
joining us. I think this is a new live high number. We had 285 people watching live. So thank you so much.
Awesome. No, we love you all. I mean, it really comes to
share the video.
Here's the thing. It comes down to trusting yourself is really what it comes down to. Don't put a middleman, and that's what crypto's all about. That's what everything's all about. And crypto is just that accelerant that gets you to the point to where do not trust an intermediary. Trust yourself. Figure out how to do it yourself. Don't let someone else take possession of your wealth, your energy, anything. Figure out how to maintain possession of who you are. Don't live a life of quiet desperation. Don't think that, I can't do anything. All you got to do is click a button and go live. I mean, talk about who you are and resonate with somebody, because there's somebody out there that needs to hear the message. And that's all we're doing right now.
That's the ethos of crypto, especially Litecoin. Take possession of your assets. It's a way in the digital realm to take ownership of your assets and control your assets in a digital realm. When we're going into a world of less control, we're showing you a lifeboat to have control. So Litecoin is that. I feel like, I know you guys feel like it too, it's the best lifeboat to be in. And it's a lifeboat that, hey, it may not be the one that they're promoting the most, but you know what? It's that lifeboat that's going to get you to shore and save your life. So I'd rather be in the lifeboat I know that's going to get me to the shore and to save my life than the one that some guy with a gold tooth smiling and say, trust me, get in this lifeboat. It's like, that's like a Mike Novogratz with his Terra Luna tattoo. Trust me, get in this lifeboat. Meanwhile, 3 miles away, the thing's sinking. Don't go in that lifeboat, the Litecoin lifeboat. Those people are bad. It's like, wait a minute. We're getting to shore, though, you idiot. So I'll leave everyone on that. Litecoin is the lifeboat to your freedom, and it's a lifeboat that is going to get you there. It's not going to sink.
And we can get our freedom back even here in America.
Yes.
See you guys tomorrow night on Happy Hour. Love you all. Thanks for watching again. Please like and share the video. Spread some freedom out there.
America's not the government, people. The America is you. It is the Grand fucking Canyon, the Rocky Mountains, the deserts of the Southwest, the Pacific fucking Ocean, the Atlantic fucking Ocean. It is the grandest continent. And what the fuck have you people done? You have turned yourself into sheep, every goddamn one of you.